Hello, hello. This will be my final guide on Crystal Chamber. I'm going to combine just about every bit of information with a bit of extra information to make this fight a little easier to understand. So, as far as Crystal Chamber is concerned, if you want to know whether or not you can clear it, the best way to find out is if you can break one of the two of these in your first burst. Or at least get close enough that you break it in time before it eats one of them in front of you. Let me show what I mean. This is my odds clear. If you want a perspective, this is 32% deficit. And it was not even close. I absolutely clobbered that thing. Now, I do want to point out, for those who are wondering, because I'm sure there's people that are wondering, is Ayn better than Scarlet for this fight? No, she's not. She's way worse. Reason for that is that over all of her damage is due to her burst, and her burst will constantly target the middle point of the fight instead of like trying to break parts. This is super important because breaking parts is roughly half of the damage you're doing to that creature, and if you take too long to break them, you will basically lose extra part that you can break. So as a result, you're kind of screwing yourself over, obviously. So yeah. Here you want to do RH, Crown, RH, obviously. The idea is to just take down one of them fast. You want to do as much damage to a Crystal Horn as you can, and then do the thing. Now, little detail that I only found out after I was done with 31 hard. This is 28-40 on the alt. But for 31-34? No, 31-36. I found out that if you do not have aim assist, this fight is infinitely harder. You see how I actually use Crown and Litter here, and they're basically latched on to that thing? If you don't know why that's the case, it's because you need aim assist. Yes. Aim assist basically forces them into constantly shooting the thing you point them at. Something I only found out very recently, actually. So, if you don't have aim assist, what will happen is that Crown will be shooting at it, and then you'll switch to a different character, and she'll go back to shooting the Crystal Horn R, which is the one that's closer to her, because they both spawn at the same time. Which is stupid, utterly moronic, but it is what it is. So if you have aim assist, it's like they are magnetized to whatever the fuck you're telling them to shoot. So they are unable to like break out and go to something else. So pretty worth mentioning, because if you don't do this, it's really hard to like focus DPS on the Crystal Horn L. The other reason why you want to focus the one on the right and not the one on the left is because Summer Anise and Scarlet will focus on the one on the left, the Crystal Horn L, the one on your right. So it's better to focus on that one, because then Scarlet can do damage over time to it, even if you're not in burst, like so. And yeah, you literally just don't care about the first one. Crown and Litter do no damage anyway, so it's not like it's lowering your damage overall. The idea is just you want to focus down with these two, while the actual DPS are killing stuff. And yes, so if you want to know whether or not you can actually clear this, 9 times out of 10, the deciding factor is if you can break one of them at the start like this, because if you can break one at the start like this, the one that it's going to yeet at you is going to be a bit RNG. I did not win the roll here, but as I said, this is not even a close fight. It took me 2 attempts. I shat on that fight. If you wonder why I destroyed that fight, it's mostly because my Scarlet has 90% elemental damage, plus a 10% of base elemental damage, plus the cube itself. I'm at 110% elemental damage. And yes, my Scarlet out DPS's my Summer Anise, so that helps a lot in breaking the crystals in time. Your Scarlet is very, very huge in terms of like how much you can clear this. And if you don't have Scarlet, work on your Guillotine. Guillotine works just fine, and again is better than I cannot stress this enough. Because Guillotine is similar to Scarlet, or damages up at all time. In fact, in some cases, she can be better. Because when this boss does its QTE, your Scarlet, like 5 stack, are going to fall off because you cannot hit a enemy. The skill requires you to hit specifically an enemy. QTEs don't count, so your 115% attack does fall off during that QTE. Guillotine's buff is just permanent as long as the HP is low enough. So you're completely fine with Guillotine, but you're not with Scarlet. Now there is another thing you can do. I don't believe I've done it in this video, but I'll explain once I get to the QTE. But yeah, so if you're lucky here, it's going to yeet one of the Crystal Horn at you that you've already damaged. So you can basically break that part faster. Why does that matter? Well, it's basically meaning you can potentially break an extra part. If you're at 30% deficit or less with the type of gear I have, you would basically be able to break an extra part and probably finish the fight with 30 seconds left. Unironically. It's not even close. Because you'll be able to break an extra part, so that's like an extra 150 bars of damage you're doing. Yes, you do about 150 bars of damage in this encounter. I think it's 180 for Chapter 30, and I think it's like 240-ish for Chapter 31, because for some reason 31 has 600 more bars of HP overall. So yeah, going back into this, you try to do as much damage to the Crystal Horn as you can. When you see the blast, that's one you want to cover, or just a bit after if you're feeling comfortable. I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this fight, as I fought this piece of shit at least for, I want to say, 2 to 3 hours overall, over both my main and my ult. I fought that thing 4 times after all. And my main does not have as good a Scarlet. I was still able to clear with about 31-32% deficit, but it's a lot harder. By the way, I just want to point out, if you wonder which character to focus on for Overload, it's Scarlet for this fight, not Summer Anise. Summer Anise barely does anything because most of her damage is from running out of ammo, and that, just like Ein, does not hit parts. So, you don't break anything with her. Also, another thing of note, if you're afraid that you don't have enough ammo for Scarlet, that shit don't matter. Crown actually gives you a fair bit amount of reload speed. You don't want Bastion even if you have a fuck ton of ammo. You want Resilience for Scarlet specifically, because you get to a point where the offset, the problem with Scarlet, which is our long reload time of 2.3 seconds, you're sitting on like over 70% reload speed. So at that point, you're just like, it takes 0.7 seconds to reload. If you're in burst, you reload instantly. So there's no point in really like going for Bastion anymore, at least for this fight, because you have Crown with you. If you don't have Crown with you, Bastion can be better, obviously, because unless you're bursting with Summer Anise, you will not have nearly as much power, or as much reload, sorry. But yeah. Again, you focus on the Crystal Horn. Now, this laser thing, you have to keep track of that every time. Except at the start, because you're going to basically take it away from Scarlet to Red Hood, and Scarlet has HP. Whenever you see this red circle, it will target the one with the highest attack. Or, if you're lucky, Crown, because, you know, obviously she can taunt. My Crown has 450 ammo on this account. I OL'd her, and I did not care after that. I think I actually had to reroll to get 1 max ammo, but, you know, if you're afraid that, oh my god, I need 900 ammo like he does on his main, you don't. You really, really don't. It's not that important. But, yeah, so if you see that red circle, you have to switch to Scarlet. And as I said, if you have aim assist on, and you tell it to just fight the Crystal Horn. By the way, about the aim assist, I might as well say this, but crank it to max. I don't know if max or not max is required, but I figure, in my case, I put it at max because it's easier to hit cores that way, so I can focus on technique rather than focusing on specifically where I need to shoot. So, if you don't have it at max, probably a good idea to put it at max, at least for that fight, if you see that your aim is not actually, like, being directed to this. But yeah, so I just tell it to hit Crystal Horn L, and then I swap to the Scarlet. It doesn't matter, I don't lose any DPS for it. Because as I said, aim assist basically focus on that. Here you want to cover. Now if you're lucky, your crown will be able to taunt that away, or the boss is just going to do lasers more. It's complete luck. There's nothing you can really do about it. But if it's with crown, you just switch to crown and you don't stop shooting. Like, you just, or rather, you use crown, you cover with crown, and everyone will still be shooting because there's no reason not to, right? So yeah. Here you wanted to hit the left one because you'll be in full burst still, so Red Hood can actually hit the Crystal Horn with Pierce for a bit. It's a very small amount, but it can help a bit. Here, okay, so here I actually failed this QTE. I will say this. You do want to take as much as possible to be able to break that part. Covering is just fine. You're going to have so much time anyway for Litter to recover your cover, so it's completely fine. Now for this specifically, considering I'm going so balls deep as far as bursts are concerned, here it lined up. If it doesn't line up, you can use Red Hood and try to shoot between two of these QTEs. You will be able to hit both QTEs at once and generate double the burst as a result. Why does this matter? Because you're actually able to get back into full burst in the QTE. Even if you run out of QTE, you'll be able to get back into full burst, and then you'll be able to just pick it from there. Just do all the QTE just fine after that. It's gonna be no problem. So yeah. Here you want to use Scarlet, by the way, because everyone else take a bit too long to shoot. So it's easier to be proactive that way. So, see, here is the part where if it threw the one that I already damaged and did like 20, 30% more damage to, I might have been able to break this in time. Now, it's very dependent on luck, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, see, here, for example, the taunt procced, and there we go. And again, rather this time it was spread. Again, you want to keep that one left. That's usually the one you're going to be targeting. Unless, you know, they're both at full HP because you somehow broke both because your deficit is way lower than me. You want to break that one first and then go for this one because, once again, you are mid-burst for this. Also, yeah, if you wonder, you do want resilience on Crown. And here I focus with everybody because Crown had to reload. It's better be safe than sorry, obviously. Especially since I don't really lose damage. Yep. Again, the laser is something that will sneak up on you and will get you killed a few times. That's completely fine. Just, you know, be wary of it. It will take some getting used to, but it is what it is. So here I did pretty good damage to it. And here, as you can see, it's going to just die. Once you get to the last 30 seconds, this boss gets very fast. So you might actually lose Scarlet or Guillotine, whichever you're using, toward the very end because of that. That's completely fine. Usually you will lose her with like 10 seconds left. Like here, it did the triple laser twice, so Scarlet died, but the fight was already over, so, you know. And that's Crystal Chamber. This was done on my alt, my free-to-play alt, so, you know. Done with 11 seconds left. That's kind of normal. You're kind of limited by the parts. You will spawn 2 parts on the last 30 seconds. Unless you have very good elemental damage, don't expect to break both. Expect to break 1, but not both. But the start is the most important aspect, because if you fail to kill one of the parts early, that's 150 bars you have to do extra, so you most likely would have to break 2 parts at the very end, and suddenly you can't do that. So yeah. Just thought I would make an updated guide that covers all my bases, because that point about aim assist was in neither videos. This one will actually be public. I'm just going to upload it a fair bit later because I have Solar Ray to make a video on. So, you know. With that said, hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you all on the next one. See ya.